Alright, we're going to do simple dough. I've done this one before, but a lot of my older videos are too long and too drawn out. So, I'm doing it again. 340 milliliters of water, that's about 40 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. You're going to need some dry yeast, of course, a bit of salt, some honey, 600 grams of flour. You can experiment with different kinds. Keep it simple at first, just white flour. I've used 80% whole wheat flour or more. So honey, you want a great big, that's a teaspoon, but it's more than a teaspoon, and you're going to dissolve that in there. And then salt, the recipe calls for a teaspoon of salt. I usually use a little bit less. A little bit less than a teaspoon. And you just want to keep stirring this back and forth until that honey dissolves. Once you get your honey dissolved, then it's time to add some yeast on top. Alright, so that's good and dissolved at this point. Get my teaspoon again. And 1 teaspoon of yeast. You just want to kind of spread that around over the surface. Well, give that about 10 minutes just on its own. Don't touch it, don't stir it. If you're rushed for time, stir it in right now. Doesn't matter, I guess. But I just like to let it sit there and proof. It will slowly start dropping down here to the bottom, and that's the yeast activating, and it will actually make very slightly better bread. Just going to let this sit, and then we're coming back in like 10 minutes to have a look at what's going on with our yeast. Alright, you see all the yeast falling down. That's yeast activating, and it'll fall to the bottom. We're about 5 minutes in. It's mostly all moistened. Give it another 5 minutes and it's going to be good to go. Alright, so we're looking pretty good at this point. We're just going to stir that in. One important ingredient I forgot in my initial list of ingredients is some oil. And this is the point where I always add the oil. I just make sure that's good and mixed in. And then I do about 2 tablespoons of oil. So we'll see what that goes. I don't measure. I just go by how much space it takes up there. That's a little bit more than I normally do, actually. No, that's about right. So we're going to give that a good stir. We got everything we need in there now, and we're just ready to throw it in the mixer. Alright, so we take that, dump it in there. This goes in a bread mixer or a bread machine too. If you have like a dough cycle, you need a 2-pound machine because this makes about 1 kilogram of dough. And whoops, I'm missing my dough hook. Hold on a sec. Alright, magic, the dough hook's there. Just turn that on 1. Just leave it on 1 for this guy and let it mix. It'll take about 10 minutes and it will mix. If you have a bread machine, do the dough cycle. You need a 2-pound machine because that's 1 kilo of dough is what it works out to be. So alright, so that's like, I don't know, I wasn't timing it, close to 10 minutes. I just let it go. It does its own thing. You don't have to scoop it down or anything like that. The sign of a good dough, I've been getting a lot of really good doughs recently. And I'll show this when I do a video of making, I'm going to make some calzones with this. So, but the sign of a good dough, in my opinion, is you don't need flour when you roll it out. So that's really good. It's just the perfect perfect texture. It's nice and rubbery, but it's not going to stick to the countertop and it's not going to stick to my fingers. I'm going to be able to roll that out completely without putting flour down on top of the counter or on top of the dough or anything. Just a beautiful dough. It's about 1 kilogram. It's actually 1,040 grams is what it normally works out to be. And it's good for pizza, calzones, bread. You can make bread out of it. You can make buns out of it. It's just a good general purpose dough for just about anything that you want to do. Really yummy. Oops, I had something on the counter there that, oh, that's coffee grounds, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. A little bit of coffee grounds in my dough. All right, that's it. Rock on.